So this is, as you know, you've been participating in the sessions all throughout the day, and these good people over here, look how shiny and happy and smiley they are. They're going to get eaten alive by the sharks. Isn't that great? And how this is going to work is they've been working on coming up with ideas. You presented a bunch of ideas. They're going to present their idea, so they only have a minute to do this, and then the sharks have at them for 4 or 5 minutes. You guys also get an opportunity to not only have at them, but you can also, there's also going to be a chance for you to vote. So if you haven't downloaded the app yet, download the app, and just search ACT-IAC, I think, and you can find it, and you get to vote on who's going to win. And let me see all the contracting folks in the room. So these are going to be 6 ideas that you don't have to pay a dime for, that you can take back to your organization. Everyone talks about doing more with less. How do you get less than costing nothing? And they're going to help you do your jobs better. How awesome is that? So we're going to get this. They're going to present, and then we'll vote, and merriment is had by all. So there you go. You don't seem really enthused about this, but we'll see how it goes. Did you see our award? It's an actual shark fin. It was made, I think, in Ohio, is what they said. But those are the mere details that we don't need to worry about. So let me bring in the sharks.
That's our music.
So let me introduce our 6 sharks today who will be sitting up here with me. Dave Brandt, he is the Chief Procurement Officer for the Department of Homeland Security's Federal Emergency Management Agency. Dave, swim on down. Paul Gregory, Paul is Vice Chancellor for the Program Management School for the Veterans Affairs Acquisition Academy. Paul, come on down. Got food waiting for you up front. Yeah, there you go. Jeff Haas, he is Senior Procurement Executive for the General Services Administration. Oh my God, I feel like Jaws is going to eat me right here. Jody Newhart, she is Associate Administrator of Acquisition Workforce Programs for the Office of Management and Budget. There you go. Good swim. Okay, awesome. You notice when you put this on a red, it's like just blood everywhere. It's just so gross. Tim Shaughnessy, he is Technical Advisor for DHS Office of the Chief Procurement Officer. We're very happy Tim is able to work today. Thank you very much. And Steve Spout, he is Director Acquisition for the National Reconnaissance Office in the, for me to say, Acquisition Center of Excellence. Steve, come on in. There. Those are our sharks, and you guys are all sharks too. So, you guys ready? Ready to get these cool ideas? Yes, sir. All right, here we go. We're starting off, as you may know, there were 6 different categories that we covered. And remember, these guys only have a minute to present their ideas. We're going to give them a little bit of a break. We know how difficult it is to sometimes have new ideas in government. So they only had like an hour to put these together. So what we told them was, we don't have to let perfection get in the way of a really good idea. So we have a bunch of really good ideas, and we're going to help them become perfect. That's the idea here. Kimberly Hines and Ernst Reed, come on down. We're asked to look at market intelligence. So Kimberly and Ernst, are you ready?
I think we are.
Yes, there you go. Go at it, sir.
Market intelligence is not mission impossible. OFPP has set category management as a priority, and our idea is to align the PPBE process with the speed of business.
And how are we going to do that? In a 2-pronged approach. First, people. We're going to our portfolio managers. We're going to have people. We're going to have category managers in each of the agencies. We're going to have flexibility. They will grow with the market, shrink with the market. We have focus on outcomes. Remember, requirements don't change, capabilities do. 30 years ago, how many people in this room had a 35mm camera? Today, how many people do? Align with the markets. We want efficiencies, and we want cost effectiveness. We already have the acquisition workforce. Why can't we utilize that to grow into portfolio managers? Our second prong approach is short PPBE cycle. Right now, IT in the market has has an 18-month life cycle. Our budget process for the government is 5 years. Unless we align those two, we're never going to succeed.
Results should not be an accident, but part of the purpose.
Thank you.
Awesome. You don't get off quite that easy. I tried.
You left me with Sharks.
We're not through with you yet. All right, Sharks. So what do we think of this idea?
Kim, where have you seen this done before? Any form, any startup? Have you seen this successful anywhere?
I have seen at a previous government agency that I was with, they had kind of tried to get into the portfolio management sort of idea. And so I ended up leaving that agency before it really came to fruition. But that's kind of where the thought process
went. Take off as fast as you propose.
He has a PEO manager, sort of a portfolio manager category right now. As far as the shortening of the budget cycle, I mean, this is an outside the box thing, and that's what we need in today's government right now. It's outside the box.
So the portfolio managers will come from what organization? We're talking about realizing assets, deploying them within. So who are you taking them from, and how are they going to be deployed? What authorities will they have?
In our reality, you already have these kind of portfolio managers within the agencies. The old COTR, those technical representatives, those technical folks. Generally speaking, they're very much aligned and in tune with their industry, but it's stovepiped. They have their bubble, and then the other program manager has their bubble, and they overlap, but they don't necessarily know it. So we're looking at the idea of taking these experienced program managers and moving them within the agency into category management as part of the acquisition workforce, still possibly under that program management role, but then you're developing a community of practice that can then interface with the OFPP government-wide category managers. And it gives agencies the flexibility to create subcategories that are within their mission and their requirements and still interface at a government-wide level.
What kind of words are we going to use when we talk to Congress about this, who, arguably has a pretty big role in the PPBE once it leaves any more departments? What can we do to sell this?
I think we need to use the word sustainability, because right now we're on a budget process that's not sustainable. You are not able to stay with the life cycle of the business industry. You use interaction. You want us to go out and use the American economy, use the U.S. economy to help make it grow. Well, if the budget isn't helping the U.S. economy grow because it's on a 5-year cycle, and they're selling us old stuff because we're bidding on it 5 years out, right? Whereas if we get it to a 3-year cycle, then business is able to develop for the government process. It therefore increases jobs, and we can draw all the categories out there. The thing is alignment with the market industry and the budget government.
How many agencies will be creating this? This sounds like it's incredible duplication. Can you talk? It sounds like it's incredible duplication, as if we'd have all the agencies creating this portfolio approach, that every agency having a category manager. If I understand this concept, why do we want to create it over and over across government?
I think it's just more formalizing something that's already there. You have program managers and program representatives that are already essentially taking on this portfolio management role. It's just formalizing it. You're decreasing what's stovepiped now and creating an opportunity within agencies for them to manage their portfolio better, essentially, and instead of one person going to potentially a trade show, or sending 5 people from the same agency to the same trade show, only to meet up there and realize they're all from the same agency. You can kind of get economies of scale with budgets the way they are. You can send one person who then reports back and is that single point of contact to initiate communication within their agency as well as from agency to industry. And so I think it's just more of a formalization and kind of creating within the acquisition workforce potentially the idea of a formalized portfolio manager, kind of like contracting officers started. It was very informal, kind of initially, kind of figuring it out. And then now, you know, it's much more formal, much more well-defined, kind of taking these portfolio managers and eventually transitioning them into a situation where they are these points of contact. They are this formal, trained, communicating entity that represents their agency internally, externally, and can interface with the rest of the government.
We get one question from out here. Does somebody listen to this idea and say it either works for them or doesn't work for them? You're going to have to come on, because I'm not going to crawl all over these people, as much as they all love me. Look at how snappy, a three-piece suit, you're very snappy.
It's only two that got my Easter Sunday suit. Just one concern, your methodology was suggested that one person will be a subject matter expert for the entire agency, and I find that to be somewhat, you know, how can someone speak and tell you go to these trade shows, these contractors want to speak to folks that can really speak in detail on these different programs. I think what you're suggesting is a representative. I don't see how one person can have the knowledge that would be required to speak for the entire agency if we actually, you know, went that method.
So is there a way that they could improve the idea? That is there? Do they have a good gem of an idea and it needs to be honed a little bit, or it?
Of course. I mean, they only had an hour to think this through, so give us some time and some more folks to collaborate.
I'm giving you 3.5 seconds to help them do it better.
I just gave you one thing to consider.
Thank you very much. Buy an Easter suit. That's a suggestion. Yeah, go ahead and answer his question.
And I don't think that the suggestion is that you have one person. I think that the suggestion is that you have a group of people, maybe, but category managers. All right. Right now, you don't have one person buying IT and VA. You don't have one person buying jet planes in all of the OT. All right. You have category managers, and that's sort of what we're suggesting. Is that's sort of that PEO structure, that category manager structure. I think this work. But seriously, that's what we're really looking at, is you have those subject matter experts, and they become a community for that market, for that specialty.
I have a question.
No, we're out of time, but because you're with OMB, I'll give you 20 seconds. But
I'll be quick. So, agencies have limited resources, and I'm not saying that agencies never gain things. But so I would want to see them like just check the block and wait for 2 years for the whole administration to change. I think we need to build out a better business case as far as the benefits of the agency for doing that. So we've taken a well-experienced manager from a project that he or she's probably needed on and moving to this, and I think we just have to take a little more time to do it.
thank you guys. Kimberly Hines and Ernest Reed. Going first, awesome job. Our next category is acquisition of the future, and it's Shelley Johnson-Jones and Leslie Steele have their idea. Go.
Can I get a show of hands, all those who are checking their emails right now? That's the future. The future is our next generation in acquisition. Providing acquisition professionals right access to the right data, the right time, the right device. That's our solution, workplace as a service. And the benefit is a single sign-on portal that gives not only security, it's fully customizable, agency-specific apps, and it also is in line with the Enron rule that removes IT acquisitions of GAO high risk. And I'll tell you how she'll do that. She says that she wants visibility into $270 billion of acquisitions. Now, this is what we're proposing to help us to do this. And not only that, but we are going to be working with the acquisition crowdsourced apps using standardized data. We need a common data standard definition. And this is our main source. Agencies will be able to use their existing applications. There's a one user portal. There's an app store. Everyone is familiar with the app store because you all have iPhones, iPads, etc.
Take them into the Starks time, they're going to be mad at you.
And then there's vendor portal, and there's for different types of acquisitions.
There you go. You got the, you got a little bit extra. Right. So, what do you think of this idea?
Okay, question. I'm struck as, since we had Ann here speaking earlier, the Ann Run rule. How does this support the interoperability that she and OFPP and the rest of us are looking for across the government enterprise?
The first step is common data standards, common data definitions. Without that, you cannot have interoperability. So our solution emphasizes that first. We're not saying a single data repository, we're saying common definitions. Every agency can maintain their own data repositories, but you're going to be able to support interoperability because you have common definitions. NEEM is a perfect example of that in the law enforcement community. Now we're applying it to the acquisition community.
One quick follow-on, sorry. Who has access to that data?
Well, there are rules today in place in all the agencies about who has access to the system. So we talk about access, controlled access, the right access to the right data at the right time through a user portal, customizable at agency level and down to the acquisition professional level. What do you need to see on your portal? What applications or apps do you need to access? And that governs what data you get to see.
So, a couple questions. One, how long do you think it would take to implement? And two, is there an agency that you would use as a model to kind of kick this off that has seen the definition?
This can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years because you have to get a partnership going with industry and government to come up with the common data. But I believe that it's something that can easily work in a agency. DHS, for example, could be a model since they're so big, but we could start small. It's done incrementally. In scripts, this is pulling in the different pieces at different times, and it's just a staggering type of process. So see how it works, add a little bit more, and just take it bit by bit. But I believe that this definitely can work as an incremental process. But more importantly, we want to make sure that we have the partnership with industry to get this forward, because we need that common data standard definition.
I can just supplement that just a tiny bit. So we're recommending to start out with a two-pronged approach. And the first approach is to establish a working group that's industry and government to start working on data standards. Start with the core data and build out in accordance with life cycle, acquisition life cycle. So you're taking modular bits, pieces, so you can establish frequent releases on an accelerated basis, and at the same time, in parallel, have a demonstration user portal, work with an agency to create that user portal and prove out that concept.
Why don't you give us a little bit?
Oh, absolutely.
So with all the data, how are you going to ensure the quality of the data going down the road? I've been hearing about data issues, and I would hate to start this, which sounds like a great idea, and 5 years down the road say,
Well, data quality is an issue across industry and government in so many applications. You're right. But again, I'm going to say that the starting point is common data definitions and standards. And without that, in fact, by definition, we're going to get to data quality. So once those start getting in place, it becomes the responsibility of each of the agencies to ensure that they apply those and adhere to those standards and definitions, and they ensure the quality of the data. Now, over time, with these published standards out there in industry, you can see the development of apps that address certain aspects of the acquisition life cycle and can help improve that data quality through rules that are established within apps or in modernized applications, improved and more rigorous business rules around submitting data. And so you are, over time, going to see improved quality. But up front, it becomes the responsibility of each agency.
Let me go out here and get a question or comment from out here. Shark, who wants to, oh, of course. all the way over there. I already have my 10,000. I already have my 10,000 steps today. So thank you very much for helping me.
Okay. Hi. If you're talking about trying to get common data that are standards, I mean, the thing is that we're talking about how technology changes so rapidly. Those standards would also change as well. I mean, things that you're trying, they're going to evolve as well. And so the data won't be the same. You see what I'm saying? If the data
But, you know, the definitions of data elements will not necessarily change over time, certainly not that rapidly. Again, I will say that NEEP provides a great example. And when you talk about the acquisition community, I guarantee that from agency to agency, you have a slightly different definition of requisition, a line of account, all sorts of terms and terminology. To the extent that you use slightly differently, guess what? You can't count on the end results. And then Anne Rum can't get the results she wants.
Leslie Steele and Shirley Johnson-Jones. Well, you can talk while they exit.
I'm trying to understand what this has to do with next generation acquisition professionals. Where does the next generation come into any of this when we talk the acquisition workforce?
Well, today, all children, even the 2-year-olds, they know more about the iPhone than I do, honestly with you. So when that generation, or even the generation now, coming into the workforce, the desktop that is there, the multiple applications that we have to access, for them it's like, are you kidding me? That is not today. We are not in today. So what we need to do is be in today.
Yeah, but if we're talking 6 months to 2 years, that's today's generation acquisition professional.
I'm sorry?
But if you're talking that this is something that we can be doing in 6 months, that's today's acquisition professional.
Sure, and by creating this environment, creating an environment where you get apps, you get tomorrow's generation as well.
All right, the next category is lowering barriers to entry. And how is my job taming the sharks more than taming the lowering barriers to entry. Oh, let me remove this. Thank you, Leslie. I'll give this back to you. Nice job. There you go. There you go. Nice job. Lowering barriers to entry, and it is Sherry Weir and Virginia Huth, right?
That's right.
By the way, hold on, I just checked, and no rain for the next hour, so you're all fine.
We'll survive.
The world's not coming to an end yet. Go.
So, hi Sharks, you look out among you and you see small businesses that are looking for ways to engage the government. To do that today, they have no idea where to start. Well, the first place to start is figuring out what the procurement forecast is for a specific agency. Which agency do they want to engage in? Does that forecast actually have current data on it? Is it available? Is it easy to find? Well, now I've got how many agencies that I'd like to talk to? Well, what we propose is something actually very simple. It's very little cost. Agencies are currently doing it in their own environment. A portal provides access to existing agency assets that provide upcoming government requirements.
Yeah, it's a single point of contact. It could be as simple as a web page with links to the existing sources on other agencies' page. It could even be a feature on the revitalized acquisition.gov that is planned. So we think it's very cost effective. We also think it's important to recognize that the quality of the information provided by agencies should also be addressed.
There you go. They did it in just a minute. Very nicely done. Go.
Sure, you're arguing that that's the real barrier. I mean, your subject is breaking down barriers. How do you know it's not on the postal board side, all the terms and conditions and all the overhead associated with contract administration?
We consider that too. I mean, part of some of the barriers that we looked at, this was one of the cost barriers. When we talk about entry into the government marketplace, there's a lot of training requirements. There's so many. The list was, I think we had like 26 things on the list. But what we could all agree to was that very first step. Who do I need to talk to? How do I talk to them? When do I talk to them? When's it important? Oh wait, there's a procurement. Oh wait, that's outdated. So we really think that that transparency is the first place to start because there's some small businesses that frankly aren't ready to do business with government. And the post-award things are things we really didn't consider in this
Do you
one.
think that can coexist with FBO pretty well?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think the other key to this is that there is a real point of contact. We recognize that listing a CO may or may not be helpful. The CO probably has dozens of contracts and may not be readily available to answer questions for a small business. So part of it is making sure that there is someone available, whether on the project side or dedicated in some other way, to be able to answer questions and inquiries as they arise. Because a small business, again, is struggling with, there's almost too many options, too many opportunities. Which ones do I need to focus my resources on to compete? Because it's costly for me to not only search for information everywhere, but to also decide what are the right opportunities.
So who's responsible for making sure the information's up to date?
The agencies.
Each agency is responsible for their own information, assigning their own point of contact, and retaining that information currently today. So the whole key is to make something simple, something low cost, something that can get access from a single point of contact, a single location to each agency.
Guys, if I whisper on the mic, we can still hear you.
So we're the sharks. That's
there you go. That's the way microphones work. So I work with Mookie Johnson.
You work with Cuban, he scares me. He really scares me.
My question was, how much in the future are you looking to forecast, and how does this differ from most of the contracting offices have the offices of small business and disadvantaged businesses?
And that's exactly right. Each agency has an office of small and disadvantaged business. Every single agency and sub-agency, and not just information that's current. So we'd like to see a one-year forecast at minimum. We'd like to see the information updated quarterly at minimum. But more importantly, we'd like to see that serve as a catalyst for industry engagement. There are additional clarifications that we can provide, one of which is down here at the bottom, which I believe, if you measure it, people do it. If you don't measure it, nobody pays any attention to it.
Quick follow-up. What makes you think the agencies have or are willing to publish 1 year out acquisition forecast data? If they have it today, why would they publish it today? What's stopping them from putting it out today?
I'm not saying that it isn't out there. I can say even as a non-small business, it's not easy to find. And even if I'm focused very hard on a single agency, their forecasts usually are critically out of date, so I need to make some phone calls. Are they returned? Maybe. Is my email returned?
Our position is that one, it's required. Two, that agencies may be hobbled by different reasons, but the reality is that a forecast benefits, one, not only small businesses, but all businesses by making opportunities available for competition. Competition benefits government because it helps drive down prices and improve quality of outcomes. It's essential to doing business. And at the end of the day, the information is available. Agencies may be hobbled by, again, maybe they lack a coherent system, but for the most part, I'd say 90% of our acquisitions are similar year to year. We simply need to keep that information current.
I'd be interested in going a step further. Instead of having a POC, either contracting would be problematic. In the program office, I love the DHS model, the industry liaisons. So why not partner that with this? Make it that much more effective, somebody that's really focused.
We really do too. We believe the DHS model is very significant, and that it really is showing that something like this, agency-wide, now make it government-wide, would be very effective.
If it was government-wide, could it get too big?
No, it eventually goes back to accountability at the agency level. What we're talking here is a single portal or resource that a small business can go to rather than hunting and pecking. Now, ultimately, that could be enhanced with searchability or other things, but at the get-go, it's a very simple lift with some very easy wins. And then again, each agency needs to recognize that they need to keep their information current in the way they deem most responsible, and again, provide a real point of contact. Whether it's the DHS model or another model, is not so much material, but making sure there's a real point of contact.
Who's held accountable for responding to inquiry?
Let me get one question from out here. Of course, they're all over there. Wherever I am, they're on the other side. Yep. Go. Oh, sorry. By the way, I love these shoes. She said she's moving, so those were the only shoes that she had, but those are pretty cool ones to choose.
very true. One tool that I would use to take it a step further, I think this is a good starting point, but I would use faceted search functions and topic modeling. And what you can do is determine what each agency is expected to buy by word clouds. So you could have data visualizations or great word clouds. So as a small business, instead of me going through so many agencies and sub-agencies, I can just look and say, okay, DHS is buying data analytics and cleaning services, and I can kind of see just a very quick snapshot of what each agency is buying, and then I can decide if that's the agency I'm going to do business with, and I can deep dive and find more info.
Absolutely. And one final.
Well, I can talk to that. As from GSA, I'm familiar with what you speak of. We are doing a lot of work with data visualization using Tableau, and you're probably going to see some of these coming out, and I think it's a great idea to make them available to small businesses.
But the final thing, just the final word would be that this information, again, is a low lift, right? This is a low lift opportunity.
And lots of benefit.
Awesome. Sherry Weir and Virginia Hughes. Thank you both very much. Our next category is called, they had LinkedIn, but the team didn't like that, so they changed it. And it's called Linked Up, Effective Industry Engagement. And presenting to us are, I can't read, James Mitchell, I got that. Oh, and Carolyn McCavin. There you go, McCavin. I'll get it right next time.
Yeah. Okay, good afternoon, Sharks. My name is James, and this is Carolyn, and we're here to talk to you about a problem that we've talked about several times today, and that's the disconnect in communication between industry and government, especially in government on the contracting office and the program offices. So everybody is familiar with the term IPT. We're here to change the way you see the term, the acronym IPT, and tell you that it stands for Innovative Procurement Team. And our solution for this problem in government contracting is to launch a collaborative social media website called Linked Up.
Okay, and let's start with the benefits of this Linked Up system. We're going to see a lower fear of protest. We're going to get, on the industry side, one voice of government so that the COs, the PMs are kind of forced to actually tell us the same things, share the same information, hear the same things from us. Industry will be able to submit more innovative solutions on a regular basis, faster and cheaper, and the government's going to be able to get some ideas for new innovative ideas on a faster and cheaper, less time-sensitive manner. And ultimately, it would increase the trust between industry and government, which right now seems to be a little lacking. How does it work?
You have like 10 seconds to tell us how it works.
Okay, the IPT works together so that both sides, PMs and CMs, can identify and post future needs. They can provide consolidated feedback on RFI responses so that industry gets information and feedback so it can provide better solutions next time.
There you go, Sharks. What do you think of this idea?
Linked
Up.
Read the
rest.
Occasionally for new vehicle creation.
I'm sorry, I'm not getting it yet. So, what is the idea?
They were still stuck on you correcting my
didn't know, Mr.
They got everything after that.
The idea is to link a across-the-board social media website for government, industry, and especially on the acquisition side, program offices and contracting offices, to be able to communicate between themselves and industry and provide a central location for them to do that, along with benefits. And we have a lot of options and tools within that site to provide for everybody to.
So you're taking something like say Interact Government Wide. Is that the concept?
It's similar to that, yes.
So I do think that one of the big things is that it is going to force the CMs and the PMs to be together. This was about increasing collaboration and all of this kind of stuff. Right now, as an industry member, you don't get any collaboration. Well, I shouldn't say that. You get, oftentimes you hear one thing from a CO and one thing from a PM. So what we're trying to do is force those folks on the government side to have to communicate together, maybe sit in the same room and answer questions from government instead of these things being done on, oh, talk to the PM or oh, talk to the CO. These people should understand from an industry perspective, what's out there.